Madam President, I would ask unanimous consent that Major Matthew Altman, who is a military fellow in my office, be given floor privileges for the remainder of the 113th Congress.
Without objection.
Thank you, Madam President. I join my colleagues today in discussion about an issue that I think we all would agree is an issue that really tears at the heart, causes great anguish as we think that those who have volunteered to serve our great nation, that have agreed to put themselves on the front lines, that they would be in a situation where they would be made a victim of a military sexual assault and be put in a situation where they don't know where to turn, they don't know if it is safe to speak up, they don't know how to respond. Our military men and women, I think we are proud to say, are the most professional, the most highly trained and skilled and qualified. We will match them against any. And yet when we face these very, very troubling and difficult issues of military sexual assault, it is an underside of the military culture that we have not been able to sufficiently address and eradicate. Madam President, the most recent report on the Defense Department's Sexual Assault Prevention and Response Office, which covers 2012, speaks to the statistics, and these statistics have been reported so frequently on the floor of the United States Senate. We know them, we share them, and really we agonize over them. But 26,000, an estimated 26,000 cases of unwanted sexual contact and sexual assaults occurred in FY 2013, a 37% increase from FY 2011. 25% of women and 27% of men who received unwanted sexual contact indicated that the offender was someone within their military chain of command. And then, Madam President, the statistics that really just go to the heart of what we're talking about here today. Across the services, 74% of females and 60% of males perceived one or more barriers to reporting the sexual assault. 50% of male victims stated that they did not report the crime because they believed that nothing would be done. They've been victimized once, and now they don't believe that anything will happen if they speak. They don't believe that anything will be done with their report. 62% of victims who reported a sexual assault indicated that they perceived some form of professional, social, or administrative retaliation. Retaliation from the system that they have been trained to trust, to be there for one another, and yet now fear of retaliation. This report was such an eye-opener. For many of us, it certainly has galvanized the issue to address where we are today, to truly put on the front burner of this body the issue of what has happened within military sexual assault and what we can do to address it. It has remained on the front burner thanks to the persistent efforts of the senator from New York to keep it there. She has relentlessly pursued the vote that we will take today. But regardless of its outcome, I think that she should take pride. I think that we should all take pride in what we have collectively accomplished. And I also want to note the very fine work of my colleague from Missouri, Senator Murkowski, and her efforts, along with Senator Ayotte, Senator Fisher, yourself, Madam Chair, really to bring this issue to a level where we have seen changes that have been made already. But the question then remains, is there more that can be done? This Congress has significantly improved the system through amendments to the military justice system that were included in the National Defense Authorization Act. The services have also done their part in looking for ways to improve their sexual assault and prevention programs, like making sure that a Naval Academy midshipman need not be driven across the state of Maryland searching for a hospital that has a sexual assault nurse examiner on duty. In my state of Alaska, the headlines over the past year as it related to military sexual assault within the ranks of our National Guard units stunned us all. I just recently received a further briefing from our Adjutant General and folks within the Alaska National Guard in terms of what they too are doing to address within their own system the changes that are absolutely necessary. But the question, Madam President, is whether or not these changes will move the needle on these statistics that we've just recited. In my view, it remains to be seen. Will they give the victims more confidence in the system? Will they deter offenders by increasing the certainty that there's going to be accountability if these acts are taken? So today the Senate considers the Military Justice Improvement Act, a measure that I think provides victims with the certainty that they need to have confidence in the system. If you don't believe the system is going to be there for you, if you don't believe it's going to work for you, you're not going to report it. You're not going to expose yourself again. As I've said on the Senate floor before, this is strong medicine. It is very strong medicine to any offender who believes that the good old boy system will permit him to escape the consequences of his actions. In my judgment, enactment of the Military Justice Improvement Act will lead to greater consistency in charging decisions. This is, again, a very important aspect. It will ensure that those decisions are based on the facts and the law and not any external factor. And that, too, offers an increment of protection to victims as well as to the offenders. The current system of military judgment relies upon the individual decisions of commanders for a decision on whether or not an offense is to be punished and which charges are to be brought. We recognize we've got a complex military, and there are many, many commanders. And while our code of military justice may be uniform, recent history suggests that its implementation is unfortunately anything but uniform. Now, some have called the Gillibrand proposal a radical solution and one that will make it impossible to maintain good order and discipline in the military. Madam President, I don't buy that. You know, these were some of the statements that were made several years back when we were considering Don't Ask, Don't Tell, just about 3 years ago. The military is proving it is resilient enough to implement culture change, and that's what this will take, is culture change. I believe that they are resilient enough to implement a change of this magnitude, and it will be resilient enough to implement the Military Justice Improvement Act. It is not a radical and novel solution to a difficult problem. In fact, many of our allied modern militaries have moved the decision on whether to prosecute sexual assault outside of the chain of command. They have done it. I believe that it is high time that we do as well. Again, Madam President, I commend those who have led so nobly on this effort to make sure that when those fine men and women stand to serve our country, there is ensured a level of justice, a level of uniformity of justice, and that we no longer see the devastating statistics that we have unfortunately been faced with for far, far too long. And with that, Madam President, I yield the floor.